Intelligentsia, Gorilla Family.
That was tight, man. That was tight, bro.
Yes, man. Black Intelligentsia, Gorilla Family. Good evening, everybody, man. I'm tired, man, of the Negro-dom behind this corona virus, right? We're going to have a discussion. Part 2 in the series of, hold on a second. I don't know how that happened. But it's the coronavirus. It's making anything. So, yeah, coronavirus, right? You guys are reading the title, Coronavirus Chronicles, the second installment. I told you that I would be talking about economics and how it's affected by this coronavirus. And I wanted to bring a special guest, man, Brother Darren Marion. He's going to tell you a bit about himself and, why he's here. What is his purpose with being here? Some people want to know about
questions that, man. That's
some
like,
people. Some people ask them kind of questions, dog. They do. Who is that? Why is he here? People ask them kind of questions. But
that's
Brother
my father
Darren,
and my mother, man. It's about 44 years ago. They started something, man.
I mean, tell everybody, man, who are you, man, and your background?
Right on, man. Darren Marion, owner of Retail SEO, Blerdplanet.com, Blerdplanet. Just some guy at Blerdplanet, man, writer. Just general overall, just have MBA in finance and economics, master in economics, bachelor's in economics, finance, and marketing, and management. Worked in finance and banking, man, for about 20 years. Worked as registered investment advisor, you name it, man. Pretty much did it all.
All right. So we have somebody that is basically qualified as an expert to kind of talk about this topic, along with myself, me being, I'm a financier, being in financing, being an independent business owner and investor. We do carry the qualifications to, kind of elaborate on this to a degree. So I figured we would do that in light of the anxiety around the pandemic we're going through. And I call it the Rona mindset. Having that Rona mindset is critical because this opportunity is not going to come around probably for another 100 years. It took about 100 years for this to happen. This is not going to happen again. And through all of this dismay, there is extreme opportunity, especially in economics. And I want to discuss that topic, and I wanted to elaborate on that topic, and I wanted Darren to bring his perspective to the table of the topic. Now, one thing that we're going to center around the topic, and I want to kind of show everyone, let's see, make sure. Share this really quick. Is what I call the 7 rules of economics. And how an economy operates. When you have scarcity, subjectivity, inequality, competition, imperfection, ignorance, and complexity. And they usually materialize in that order when you're building economic structure. Now, this is kind of a general term so that you don't get into the actual technical aspects of being an economist. You don't need a PhD and all that kind of stuff. Even though we went to school for it, you don't have to. And I try to keep it in layman's terms so that the goal is met, that you understand what I'm talking about. And so once you make something scarce, you subject people to the scarcity. And when you subject them to that, it turns into a demand. And once that demand happens, you create an inequality, right? An inequality would be Burger King versus McDonald's. Inequality would be that choice. And in that choice pushes competition. And with that competition, you have imperfection. Mine's better than yours. Oh, new and improved. Oh, bigger and better. Oh, brand new. And in doing that, you perpetuate upon the consumer a level of ignorance. iPhone 7, iPhone 8. I'm ignorant to what the iPhone 8 is opposed to the 7, so I'll just buy the 8 because it's new and improved. So I'm going to subject you to that. And in doing that, I maintain my complexity, which keeps my product unique. All right. Our brother
Man,
Dan, you want to expound?
Man, I love that. That's a just economics is really common sense. It's funny you ought to be like common sense, because it's really common sense, man. That's perfect. It's about finding inefficiencies that are created in the market by certain scarcities, and you're able to exploit those inefficiencies with a degree of complexity, and the inefficiency comes from ignorance or lack of knowledge. So the more we know about something, the less ignorant we are about it, the less chance there is for us to find arbitrage, find inefficiencies. So you can even backdoor that whole formula, man. No, that nails it, man.
Mm-hmm. You're right, on. I appreciate that, man.
That nails it down pat, man.
Brother Tails, man, we appreciate the $10 super chat. Team Osiris is on the horizon. I am streaming live on three of our platforms: Blerd Planet, Kansu Sheshma Moon, and Team Osiris. So I do appreciate the Team Osiris family for supporting the fam, and I appreciate that super chat of $10, bro. Much appreciated. So, in talking about scarcity and the 7 rules of economics, there is a learning curve for understanding it. Scarcity, the economic pie is limited. Society has limited resources and unlimited wants and needs. And so when you understand that, you look at what a want and a need is, and when that want and needs become scarce, or what is usually a consistent supply becomes scarce, this is something that you should watch to invest in, because those things are temporary. All right. And that term will be called bail out. Okay. Bail them out, because I know they're good for it. So I'll bail them out. So, Brother Darren, what is your perspective on what a bailout is, and how is a bailout beneficial? Before we get into what's going on today, how is a bailout beneficial?
Well, it depends. I mean, that's a complex question to answer, because a bailout, you have the whole premise of is something, a business, as an industry, too big to fail. But if you look at things from a hey, what's up, Nene? If you look at things from a perspective of competition, is anything too big to fail? Is it time for something to get washed away? So, is it, or when we do some sort of bailout, are we propping up an industry that should be obsolete, and trying to make that industry, we're hanging on for that last little vestige of success? I don't know. Just on the side of being a capitalist and just basic economic thinking, I believe that we should let capitalism allows for the efficient disposal of things that are inefficient. So if we have a banking system that does not work, if we have a mortgage lending system that does not work, and we saw that our banking system was broken back in 2008, and General Motors, our automotive system program was faulty. So rather than come up with some new innovations to help make things more efficient and help things work smoother, so they wouldn't happen again, or we would start to take away from these bubbles, these booms and bubbles and bursts that we have. We propped up that industry. We bailed it out. So it's almost like rent controls. Rent controls cause when you have a rent control, that causes scarcity, that causes prices in real estate to go up, because everyone is trying to get into a small space, and once landlords or we have these tenants that are stuck in and paying these below market rents, then they have to charge everyone else that much higher above market. So, yeah, bailouts, man. I mean, I'm not too much of a fan of bailouts.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, me either. I'm not a big fan of it. And in light of that, when bailouts occur, and in general, when it comes to money management, we call it finance. When it comes to being financially astute, it's all about diversifying your portfolio. So if somebody wanted to diversify their portfolio, let's say I want to put some money in stocks and I want to put some money in commodities and I want to put my money in some minerals and maybe cryptocurrency. You know, the United States government is talking about coming out with their own cryptocurrency now. Um, what is your opinion on those kind of things as far as diversification goes?
yeah. So, I'm sorry, I was trying to hit, hit unmute.
Yeah.
Uh, so, as far as diversification comes, I mean, that's just another asset class. So, it's good to have multiple asset classes, like you'd have multiple streams of income. You want to put you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You like to have them in multiple baskets, and ideally, every one of those baskets are always earning, or always making something. They're always at least staying ahead of inflation, if not matching inflation.
Hmm.
Um, that way, you're not working against yourself, because that's the whole purpose, of saving and of working, is so that you don't have to work anymore, so you can have a increased quality of life.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, man, no, it's the cryptocurrencies. That's a great asset class. That a great way to get into a whole new set of assets. It's like buying a dollar. Okay, let's say as an example, and I like to use analogies, man. You have a dollar bill, okay, or we'll call it a retro dollar, and this retro dollar is good, for 100 retro pennies. Now, the retro pennies all have things you can do with the different retro pennies.
Hmm.
So let's say go and spend the retro dollar, and you get change for the retro dollar in 100 retro pennies. Now, with each one of these retro pennies, and I hope I'm not talking too crazy, out, so just bear with me on this one. Each one of these retro pennies can go out, and they could start. They're like little seeds, and they can start doing. They can grow something here. Might grow a house. This might start growing on a car. This might start growing a business. So all these little retro pennies go everywhere, but they all came from this one retro dollar.
Mm.
So now what you've now done with like a Bitcoin currency, Bitcoin or Ethereum or one of these other crypto, larger form cryptocurrencies, is you're buying into that retro dollar and everything that is based on that retro dollar, all those retro pennies that come from it. If that makes sense.
Hmm. It does. It does. It absolutely does. So with understanding this, man, um, let's move it forward to today,
Okay.
because I want to get into some things that are possible solutions as to what's going on. Uh, what about a possible bailout now, in light of what's going on? What kind of ramifications and how big of a bailout are we talking about, in your opinion? Or will it
Um,
happen? Is it going to happen?
is it going to happen? I mean, yeah, it's going to happen, man. They finally, it looks like they finally voted on it and agreed to it. I don't think that um, $3,500 or $3,400, whatever amount they're talking about, just to give to the American worker, it may sound like a lot, but it really is not that large a sum of money.
Hmm.
And the reason why is because they just increased the amount of dollars that are in the economy. What's up, P? That's my brother right here, man. I hope our Perry just popped up in the building, man.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah.
What's up, Nene? How are you, Nene? What's happening?
Um, so yeah, when they put another trillion or put another $3 trillion into the economy. So we're going to have inflation. Inflation is when you have too many dollars chasing too few assets. So all of a sudden now everyone has, like in the game Monopoly, at the first few couple of rounds of Monopoly, when you're able to buy something, people are willing to pay for whatever for Boardwalk. willing to pay these premium prices for things. And the reason why is because they're flush with cash. So that drives up the prices. So in the interim, it's going to, people are going to get all this big check or this check, but the check is actually going to be cut really in value, probably about half.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be cut in value by half, man, because your spending power is going to go away. If everybody could pay $500 for a car, and I'm someone wanting to sell my car, and I have 3 people that come to me that with $500, the guy that comes with $600 is going to be the guy that gets a car. Well, if they just up the game, they just make things more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
They really just kind of playing a trick with us, man. So I don't think that this big bailout, man, it ain't as good as it looks. If you think about it, man, because they did interest rates are 0%, so banks can now get lended money, or they can get money from the Fed, loan to them at 0%, and then they can loan it back out to us at interest, and we have to foot the bill. So if the banks decide to go under and they keep the money, or if they do stock buybacks and whatever, we still on the tab, man.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at it, let's say, and I'm really thinking about how this whole thing could just go bad really quickly. Is we could say everybody gets $3,400, which now decreases the buying power of the dollar by a third.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially now everybody's got $2,000,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now you got $2,000, and prices on everything have increased by a third.
Mm-hmm.
So your buying power has just dropped substantially, and not only that, your buying power, the inflation, those trillions of dollars when they're put into the economy, you're not going to get them back out. They're there.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to grow you have to grow into that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have enough and actual value. You have to be able to assign that value to something. So those pieces of paper, those dollars can be associated with something.
Mm-hmm.
Am I making sense?
Yeah, it is making sense. And I
So,
think I think that's really important that you stress that. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So when it happens like that, and when that happens, all the buying power is going to go, purchasing power is going to drop. That means your overall income level would effectively decrease. Because if we look and say, let's count for inflation. So if we look at how much Mansa Musa was worth, back when Mansa Musa was around, you look at it today, it makes him the richest man of all time. That's because of inflation. That's how much the dollar has actually grown, and how many more dollars you would need in order to show or be representative of what that value is. So if I were to buy, 10 years ago, if we were buying bread at $1, now bread is like $3 a loaf. That's how much more that's how many more dollars, how much more in labor you're going to have to work in order to get there. And so unless labor meets the amount of dollars that are in the economy, then you're going to have some serious issues. And this might not be that good at this, might be all bad.
Okay. Okay. I hope everybody understands that. So let's say stocks. Let's talk stocks for a moment. You got stocks, going, and you have these stocks at a discount. People think stocks are just stocks, but there's certain types of stock.
Mm-hmm.
So which types of stock or types of stock platforms are worthy of investment during a time like this?
Well, first, I'm not an investment advisor, so I'm not giving you investment advice. I'm just telling you what I would do on a paper trade.
That's right. Let's go ahead.
A paper trade is if I were to go and let's say I had a hypothetical $10,000 and I went on Yahoo Finance and I decided to pick $10,000 worth of stocks. This is what I would pick. And if it went up, then I lost $10,000 on paper or whatever. It's entirely fictitious money. So we saw today people who are going to be, if you're going to if we're going to have the bailout, it's going to happen, right? Well, we
Mhm.
need to figure out who is going to get the money, who's going to get the majority of the lion's share of the money, so they will so we can get on the side who benefits from that.
Mhm.
And if you look at the industry that is hardest hit by far, is the service industry. Restaurants, service and hospitality industry, restaurants, hotels, theme parks, airlines, you name it. All that stuff they've all taken a huge hit because nobody's traveling. Nobody's traveling. Nobody's going. You can't go to a theme park if you got you got to keep 6 feet away from somebody in a roller coaster. It's not going to work.
Mhm.
So, and you're going to have to look at like companies like Six Flags. They were up today. I think they were up 20%, increased
Mhm.
20% in value.
Mhm.
If you think about it, man, they're going to have the type of PR campaign they're going to have to do to get people to know, hey, man, come to our park. Our park is safe. It's coronavirus free. Because you're going to have people who believe that, hey, I'm not going to go there. Maybe that park's infected because it used to have a lot of people there. So
Mhm.
now that's going to be a justification of them. Now, President Trump said that this was coming in the form of loans. So, I had to I'm gonna have to read some more about it to really kind of understand. But um, yeah, you get on the side of like hospitality, man. You know,
Mhm.
hospitality, airplanes, hospitality, hotels, man. Um, People, I think I heard somewhere that at the Marriott hotels they had ceased payments or they were going to cut off paying people, all the debtors at one point in time.
Mhm.
And I just kind of laughed. It's like, well, their main thing is real estate,
Right. Right.
so they just basically said we're not going to pay our bills. Taxpayers, you're going to pay my bills. Rather than if I was a mom and pop shop, I'd have to sell my hotel.
Mhm. Mhm.
So this is a chance, man, for mom and pop. Like they say, it's for a small guy. I don't know. I don't think so. Um, yeah.
So this term, it's a buzz phrase, buzzword going around. It's been going around for a little while.
Mhm.
Hyperinflation and the hyperinflation of the U.S. dollar.
Okay.
Do you think that's possible? And if so, what's going to happen? What are the pros and what are the cons?
Okay. Well, hyperinflation is what we're about to see, and that's when we have too many dollars chasing too few assets. So when you put another $3 trillion into the economy, so I don't know what's our GDP right now, man. Our GDP,
And
and let me check real quick. Let me
it,
look.
it's in the multi-trillions. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I
Okay,
think it's around,
like 12 trillion, something like that.
yeah, 12, 13 trillion, somewhere in that area.
Okay. Um, you see, right now our GDP is. I'm sorry, our GDP is 20 trillion.
Wow,
Right.
that's much a lot greater than I thought. I
Yeah.
thought
The
around
GDP.
15, but
Yeah. There you go, man. So GDP of Germany is 3 trillion. The GDP of the UK is 2.8 trillion. So basically, we have taken all the money, all the value. We haven't created anything extra. We haven't created anything, but we just took all the value. We basically cashed in the United Kingdom and put that money in our economy. We didn't put in any of the efficiency, any of the inventions, the innovations that you would come with what you would have with that kind of efficiency. So, like
mhm.
they say, what's the one thing you need in order to come up with the vaccine? You need money,
Right,
right?
right.
So, where do you get that money from? But what does that money do? That money creates value.
Mhm.
So, because you're spending money on a product, you're spending money on that development. So that is an actual something you could decide you could associate a value with. You got those scientists, and you could put in, what those scientists, what their education is, how much time they spend. If you had them working on some other sort of development, what type of value and economic impact would that be? Um, yeah, man. So
Wow.
hyperinflation. So yeah, we're going through hyperinflation. It's not a good thing. Because too many dollars chasing too few assets. Um, so our buying power is going to drop.
That's deep. And so when this kind of thing happens, you got the hyperinflation, and it seems to be inevitable. Um, Certain experts, they try to claim certain hedging techniques. In your opinion, what about investing in things like gold, silver, and other commodities?
Well, it's a it's always good. It's just another asset class, so it's something of tangible. A lot of people, want things that are tangible. As long as we have manufacturing, you're going to need, electronics. We're going to need that's hard metals.
Hmm.
You're going to need platinum. You're going to need gold. You're going to need silver, nickel. That's the value. People don't see they think it's just the value of a chain.
Right.
No, man, it's what can you do with this gold in a computer? How much more efficient? What's the value of efficiency? The increased efficiency that I can get from putting in this platinum chip instead of this gold chip. How much more efficient will that make me? How much more can I extract out of that? That's what that is, man. And then that turns into calories. So it's a we could get really kind of ethereal with it. So
Mhm. Well, this is a moment of opportunity, right?
mhm.
So it being a moment of opportunity, as well as it could be a possibly dreadful thing. Um, what opportunities we got to come up, man? I mean,
Man, there's a lot of opportunities. So after
well,
I'm just talking all this doom and gloom, there's
yeah,
still a lot
but
of
so
opportunities.
so let's be specific then. Let's get cute with it.
Okay.
Um, let's talk about the internet, man.
Yeah.
Internet commerce, digital real estate.
Yep.
Um, how advantageous is that
Well,
at this moment? Is this something one should invest in?
right now, there are over 1 billion people that search YouTube every day. That's 1 billion people. That's 1 billion people clicking, 1 billion people watching content, 1 billion people consuming some sort of digital medium.
Hmm. I hope everybody heard that
Yeah.
part.
I was Howard said they said if the small business employer keeps employees and uses a loan for salaries during the coronavirus, the loans will be forgiven. Employer layoff employees' loans will not be forgiven. So let's say if you put it, but what they're doing, P, is they're still adding in that extra money into the economy.
Hmm.
And they're adding it into a service industry as opposed to manufacturing. So it's like you're giving a server an extra. If I had a choice, if I had a chance or opportunity to give a server $1,000 or give a scientist $1,000 and ask them to create something with it, the server, they would create a great experience for me at a restaurant, but the scientist more than likely would create some sort of development that will be able to help me live my life better. Um, So that's kind of and then you got to think how many of those small businesses are out there like that. So, but digital real estate. So there are over 1 billion people that are searching on YouTube every day. There are almost probably over 1 trillion searches that happen on Google every day. So what that means is there's an opportunity to put a product into someone. You can monetize that traffic. So um, advertisers or companies would like to get they'd like to get their products in front of all these trillions of people out there. So these trillions of people can spend or billions of people can spend their dollar on their product. So as being a black man, as being black in America, especially a black man in America, I say, heterosexual black males are probably the most discriminated against group of all time. But when we're able to do something and people don't know what we look like, that presents an opportunity for us because then we're playing on a level playing field. When I create a website, and that's something I have business that creates websites. When I create a website, that website looks at people who come to that website. They don't see a black man that has written this content. They see the content. When I have a pandemickit.info, they go to that pandemic kit and they're looking for, vitamin C, all this stuff. They don't see that it's a black man that put all that stuff together. That presents a great deal of the of opportunity for Black folks, man. Oh no, they aren't by not by any stretch of imagination. Okay, I'm not sure what that meant, so can't hear you. Don't hear you. You hear me? No sound. No sound. Yeah, I don't know if you can still hear me or not. If we look at just employment numbers, if we were talking about how Black men, I don't know if you can hear me or not. We look at sheer employment numbers, but under the Obama administration, when unemployment was at an all-time low for everyone, unemployment for a Black male was at 33%. That means one out of every three Black men was unemployed. That didn't include a participation rate. Participation rate would say, I think the participation rate was around 20 or 30%. That means that you have people who just gave up looking for a job and they're just resigned to being unemployed. At no point in time was any other society was any other society a part member of society. They went through that same level of lower pay, of lower employment, of worse health care. Right now, the life expectancy of a Black male is the same thing. The American Black male is the same as that of a Palestinian male, and they are literally in a war zone. So, the numbers would say something else if that's what you're addressing. Um, but yeah, going back to the digital economy, um, how much was Google worth before it became Google? It was worth 99 cents. How much you could buy a domain? You could buy it on GoDaddy, and whatever value they decided to build into that. They wanted to make this great search engine to be able to find all these different things and connect you to different things to create that brand. That is a value that they created. You can do the same thing. There's nothing to stop you from creating your own Google. It's just a matter of time. So that's it. I can hear nothing you're saying, brother. So I can hear
That's
you
what
now.
it was. Okay. I don't know
Yeah.
why it went mute. But that's a diversification um, uh, around the aspects of financing, understanding the financing. It's real critical and it's real important to kind of understand that. And so I think that what some people are worried about is the actual success. Like, okay, I made it through all of this trying time, through all of this strife, and things of that nature. So with that kind of hovering over people's heads, man, logistically, it always breaks down to dollars and cents. Always breaks down to that. In your opinion, with technology, engineering, and math now that kind of dictates to science what science is. We just don't rely on natural sciences pretty much anymore because technology has kind of revolutionized the way science works. And then technology creates the engineering, the mechanisms that create things. And with mathematics, we know how to fine tune things, make them acute. Okay, we can understand how to make this mechanism work. Just like you're saying, it's like gold. Okay, gold may be valuable on its own, but it's also a great conductor of electricity. It's a great conductor of. It also protects metals. When you case it in gold, it actually protects metals. So now we're talking about layers of value that are dispersed in different levels. I'll say that term. And that's really called fractionalization. We're going to fractionalize the value per tenth or per hundredth or what have you. So we're going to fractionalize that based on that. So with that being said, what is your opinion on the future outlook? What do you see this heading to? I know you saw some horrendous things, and I do too. that are a good possibility. But what do you see in the overall future?
Well, I see this as not. I see things as becoming more efficient, and that's a good thing. I see that like our children, and these past few weeks of the year, these past few weeks, it's like their school year may be over with. We'll find out. In a couple weeks, they might say, "Y'all come back in the fall."
Mm-hmm.
Well, they've been going to school online. Well, my thing is if they can go to school online now, this extra time they're able to do some additional learning, things like that. So that's efficient. That means their educational process has now become more efficient. People are able to work from home. That gives them a better quality of life. And if they're able to create some of the same things and be more efficient, and are able to do it from home and have a better quality of life, hey, then that's what it's all about. Is having a better quality of life. That's why we work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was a funny story. When one of my lawyer, he actually told me this. He said the bubonic plague happened. I can't remember when, but he said when the bubonic plague happened, they shut down the University of Cambridge, and they sent all professors off campus and made them, work from home, basically, kind of go do their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the professors was Sir Isaac Newton. When during that time when he was working from home, that's when he came with the telescope.
Right.
Was able to formulate what gravity was, and came up with calculus. So people can do a lot come working from home.
Right. Right. No, that's logistically what this is, because people are under the misconception that a check is a check. No, it's a big difference, because this term entrepreneurship has kind of been marketed and promoted to be the cure-all. But the issue is, what is our entrepreneurship? Is it the ability to work and earn, or is the ability to trade your investment for time? A true entrepreneur invests in other people's time, and in return they make money. Being self-employed is just another stage of employment. True entrepreneurship, you want to get beyond employment, when you get to the point where you are an employer, where you employ and you hire a workforce, and then that workforce adds market value to your existing company. That market value is then registered into an industry that is called an NAICS code. It's attached to your business. That NAICS code will determine the value of your company as it can be assessed in light of a loan or payment. And the one thing that's great about American economics, United States of America economics, is debt. A lot of people are afraid of debt. And Darren, I want to kind of get your take on this, because the way to leverage debt is collateral. Okay, it's not just your credit. When you hear people say get good credit, okay, you don't have to use your credit directly. You can limit your liability if you establish collateral. That means acquiring possessions of appreciation. You want to acquire possessions that have appreciation in order to leverage the debt. So when you go into debt, you're going into debt with a calculated purpose, not just give me some money, I need it. You're going in it to recycle it. Let's say you need $20,000, but if you have the collateral backing you borrow 40. Well, you take 50% of that collateral, right? You're taking it out, 20% of that capital. But the other 50% you don't need, because you only needed 20,000. So give yourself leverage by paying the rest back to the original loan officers. And that way you can create capital by individual investments. So that way it doesn't hit you directly and it limits your liability. So it's just the mindset around going into debt and understanding how interest can also work for you. It's understanding the fundamental laws around it. So Darren, I wanted your opinion on that, because a lot of people get intimidated by acquiring debt, and intimidated by the word responsibility and accountability. Why do you think that is, and how can you help people understand that there's no reason to be afraid of that?
Well, one, I would say, welcome to adulthood. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's part of being an adult is accountability and responsibility, paying your bills. So I think that people they may have a problem with trusting themselves, and understanding, trusting themselves.
That's right.
So I think that's probably the main issue that comes from people, with their fear of leveraging debt, and then not understanding how you can use that debt to level up. You can use it with your student loans. Student loans are a form of debt that people use to level up. Hey, and they make bad investments. I'm not going to take out. I shouldn't take out a $40,000. Hey, what's up, buddy? Shouldn't take out $40,000 in student loan to get a degree that I can make $10,000 a year in. Right? I would take a $40,000 student loan to make a degree that I can make $80,000 a year in. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
I'm using that, leveraging that debt, and I'm leveling up, and then pay that student loan off that first year. That's something you do, and it's just a matter of just being, having that discipline and really understanding how that stuff works. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, and that's why I wanted to kind of show this before we close out. A term that is hold on a second here.
Do the math. It's crazy.
Okay. I want to talk about cash flow index. A term I know you're real familiar with cash flow index there. In financial planning, cash flow index helps you get your grown woman on with cash flow index. This gives you the understanding and the roadmap to recovery, and then the roadmap to balancing out your debt, so to say, your existing debt. So let me share my screen. So cash flow index equals loan balance divided by your minimum monthly payment. So whatever your loan balance is, you divide by your minimum monthly payment. Now, the reason you would do that is a high number over 100 means the loan is efficient. A low number under 80 means it's inefficient. Now, you want to know this prior to going into a contract and during a contract, because this is going to indicate what you should prioritize when it comes to fund allocation and distribution. This is real critical. This is important. This is how to maximize your buying power, like Brother Darren was talking about. So whichever loan has the lowest CFI is the one you should pay off first. So let's say, here's an example. You got a loan balance of $228,000 for a home, right? The interest rate is 7%. The monthly payment may be $1,665 at 7% at a $228 balance. So the cash flow index would be a 137, which is 228,000 divided by 1,665. All right, this is how things are rendered mathematically so that you understand exactly what the interest is doing for and against you, in combination of having knowledge of the rule of 78 and the rule of 72. All right, so having the knowledge of those three things will help you manage your debt and leverage it logistically with knowledge. So okay, if this is a 137 CFI, and this CFI is 37 with an auto loan balance of $16,500 with an interest rate at 8%, that monthly payment is $450. So the cash flow index, it rounds out to 37, I'll score 37. So this means that this auto loan should take precedent over the home loan. And some people, what they do is they make what is called a income benefit analysis or cost benefit analysis. And when they make that cost benefit analysis, they associate their feelings with priority. That doesn't work like that. The interest dictates your attitude, and the interest dictates your attitude because, yeah, you may think, well, my home is more important than my car, but this note is. This note is more important than that house. You may be stretched out for a number of years for that house, but if you address this first, it's going to free up cash, give you more passive income, and give you the ability to attack paying off that home more aggressively. So the sooner you pay off this one at 37, you'll be able to pay off this one at 137. So you take all of your, and these are other examples. I kind of want to flash for these. So all these things that I've listed, pay off the investment property loan, especially if it's a CF5 28. That frees up $2,000 per month. If you got a CF5 loan that's 28, opposed to one that's 150. Now you got money freed up that can be allocated for other issues. And so, Darren, I want you to expound on CF5, if you could, man, with your opinion.
I mean, indexing is just a way. It's a way to put everything on a level playing field. So you have. I'm sorry, I'm not paying $40-$50 for any car.
For any car.
Yeah, indexing is a good way for us to get a base understanding. As a way to compare apples, make apples equal apples and oranges equal oranges. So whenever you're able to formulate this out, to formulate an index to do anything, then that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely a thing.
It's funny, Brother Joshua Kane, who made that comment. This is what bankers and car dealers hope you are afraid of. They just praying, yeah. Please take this car note for $285. Matter of fact, you only got to pay $285 for 6 years. Thank you. Thank you for doing business with us today, sir. Here are your keys. As opposed to paying $450 for 4 years. Because you don't see the back end interest and you don't see the rule of 78 working against you. Because you just see the upfront price as being cheaper, but you don't see the mechanics, and that's what the CFI does. It levels the playing field. This is what Brother D is talking about. It levels the playing field so you know how to prioritize the debt that is that's leveraging against your credit. You have to be able to prioritize what should be paid as a priority when paying notes off in lump sums. So it's real critical. Don't let the sales pitch of low monthly payment, low interest intimidate you or mislead you to what the overall note is. Because then that rule of 78, how much money is the bank making at the end of the day? If the car is $10,000, but by the time I'm done paying, they've made $15,000, sometimes $19,000. They get that audacious, trust me. Then you just lost all of your spending power. Not to mention, vehicles depreciate like crazy. So that's why the CFIs are usually very low, because that is not a very high appreciation item, unless it's a collector's item that you're not going to drive, but you're going to maintain, take care of. Because the minute that's $1,500 off the car, whether it's 0 miles or not, you put the key in there, you turn it, you drove on, automatic. Even if you run around the block, sold it, they're gonna tell you, oh, $1,500.
Facts.
Yeah. Darren, did you want to say anything?
No, I just said facts, man. I just said facts. That's the truth, man. It was half the value, man.
Yeah. So we have to learn about investing in the value and appreciation, what people need, the resources that people need. People need to travel, right? In commerce. People need to use gas in order to fill those planes that people travel on. People need to hire employees, specialized machinists to build the plane that the people travel on. People need to be trained specifically in order to know how to fly this machine. People have to know safety and training in order to service the people that are on the machine, like stewardesses. See, you got to know the whole complexity issue that I mentioned as the 7th phase of the 7 economic axioms. So the complexity alone will give you an idea of what to invest in and what not to. And like Darren had enlightened me, I wasn't sure on this because I didn't do the PIP history on this. Ford. Talk about Ford, Darren, when it comes to investing in stock and possibly buying stock and options.
Yeah, Ford doesn't take they don't take bailouts, man. They run a very lean company. I mean, it's the manufacturing process. George Washington Carver created the manufacturing process, man. It's they run things very efficiently, so they don't take bailouts. So that's the reason why they've got things so systematized. With everything. He could swap something out, Ford Parks, Will Park, anyway. That lets the company do a lot. And that whenever you have someone that you owe money to, then you become beholden upon whatever terms they want to give you. The less people that Ford owes, especially you don't want to owe the U.S. government money. They could come in and take an equity position, and they could dictate you make loans or make bad loans out or do whatever. So that's something that I like about Ford. That I've always loved about Ford.
They can't be bought out, guys. That's what that basically means. They can't be undercut. They're truly an American-rated company. That's basically what that means. Joshua, I see you added on to that. I want you to really understand. Yeah, you might have paid it off in a year and a half, right? And you were able to open your finances for other money. If you were able to allocate money that don't belong to you to other sources. See, the money that you're accumulating, called net income, is already taxed. When you went into the dealership, you paid tax on that. When you went and bought the bottle of water on your way to the dealership, you were taxed on that. When you went and bought the food that you ate before you went to the dealership and after you ate was taxed. It's called a bill of sale. It's a receipt. So if you don't know how to shelter that money from being taxed, you're taxed at 10 times the rate of what you take in. This is what inflation does, because the government prints more money than needed. It's a surplus. They keep a surplus of money. Eventually, it falls back on the American public because you can't spend at the same rate the money is printed.
Yeah, there you go.
And so it's fractionalized into banks in the form of interest. So even though up front, when the money is allocated as M1, M2, or M3s, depending upon its allocation, that particular M dollar has a purpose. And so taxable T-bills, which are promissory notes, which generally are M1s. Some are in trading become M2s. Very few become M3s, but M3 is where you want to be. When you have those kind of T-bills floating around, paying it off just means you perpetuated the tax agreement. You perpetuated the agreement of interest that the bank bestowed upon you so graciously to own your vehicle. So even if you were going to finance the vehicle, whatever the amount of the vehicle was, initially you would want to put at least your yearly salary down on the car. If the car is $25,000 and you put anything less than $15,000, you're looking at a contract that's going to put you in a bind on the back end when it comes to taking care of other responsibilities. So the average person doesn't have 15 grand to put down, right? Because the average person doesn't leverage and diversify their income with different vehicles of assets, or what Brother Darren is talking about, asset classes. Investing in different asset classes to make your income passive so that you're not working hours and burning calories to bring that money back in. The less calories you burn, the fatter you get. You become the fat cat. And so now you're not burning those calories up in useless buying, useless spending. Anything you spend needs to be recycled debt so it doesn't come directly out of what you take home and keep. If I'm making sense.
House money. Like you're going to the boat, man. You're playing with house money.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. You play with the house money, not your money.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would you do that in the government? The government tell you we in debt, but they print money up all day.
20 trillion.
What do they need money for? No, you need it.
Yeah.
It's a means of exchange for a service and a good.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the economy is about. So if you understand the rules of economy, then you are very excited about that. As long as I'm in debt, I don't owe. I'm in debt, so I need money in order to do it. So the more I create debt, the more possessions I can acquire. The more possessions of appreciation I acquire, the more collateral I accumulate.
And that's efficient. That's the efficient thing. That's the way that our economy is structured. I know however backwards it sounds. That's the rules that we play in. And
Yes.
knowing the rules that's why I like the president that we have now, man. It's because he knows how to play that rule. He knows how to play that game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he's still people ever call him a billionaire. He's filed bankruptcy a few times.
Mm-hmm. That's right. He's got knowledgeable. A bankruptcy doesn't mean you lost.
Exactly.
It means you're smart. And leading into the last point of the night, bankruptcy, and I'm glad you said this, man. It's a perfect segue. As Black people, I'm gonna talk to my Black folks out there. We don't understand insurance. Bonding is extremely critical to legacy of wealth. It's one thing to be rich, but you need to establish a perpetual wealth pipeline to the rest of your family in the form of bequeathment. This is what creates a Rockefeller, a Roebuck, a Sears. This is what creates that. It's legacy building. Do you know that 90% of this is a true stat, 90% of American millionaires were made millionaires by the way of insurance. Just by the ancestor being thoughtful enough to invest in their family through life insurance and other insurances, home insurance, and bonding is real critical. Darren, could you expound on that, and even investing in insurance as an investor?
Right. So yeah, insurance, man, it's the fastest way to create an estate. You know, so if I had $1 million insurance policy and I only paid $20,000 into insurance policy before I die, that money is coming tax free. That $1 million is coming tax free to my beneficiaries. There's no probate. There's no death tax. None of that with life insurance. That money goes there. They see $1 million goes directly to whoever you declare as your beneficiary. Now, if that right there, man, that creates wealth, man. I mean, that's an immediate wealth creator. And you think about it, like I mentioned earlier, man, as Black men, the way our death rates are, imagine how much we actually could turn over just by buying life insurance. As Black men, if we know we're not going to live as long as everybody else, then buy life insurance, right? That's the equalizer. That's the quickest thing to equalize. People don't equalize. They insure your car, right? If you're a renter, you insure all your rented possessions, your possession in your rental domicile. But people don't insure their income through the form of disability insurance. 60% of people are going to be out. And I know a lot of times I throw numbers out, but these are like real numbers. We can actually look them up.
Right.
60% of people are going to be out of work at one point in time in their life for an extended period of time. Think about it. Think about who you know that has been out of work for at least 4 weeks from some injury. They weren't able to work, or they may have had to go to the hospital, or may have went to stress center, or whatever. And their income is cut by 2/3 or 1/3 or whatever. Well, with a disability income insurance policy, you're insuring your income. So when that happens, you got something to make you whole. Yeah, there you go, man.
And to answer your question, Joshua, I see Joshua's been pretty active in the chat. The digital dollar. This is about terminology too. When we're talking about having the proper mindset, we're talking about this Rona mindset. Terminology is key. So when you saying digital dollar, what you're really talking about is encryption that is used as a currency. So the encryption that is used as a currency is cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrency is a very sound investment when you pick the proper currency. 90%, it's a factual number, 90% of all white paper. For people that don't know what a white paper is, it is what is established as a legitimate platform that can house investments. Just speaking layman, okay, not getting too technical. So that means that you create the white paper and you entice people to come and sign up to the Bitcoin before it's released as a public investment. The caveat with that is most of those coins don't ever materialize. They take the money and they're gone.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's called pump and dump. All right. And the pump and dumps are ridiculous in the crypto world because of the own technology in itself. And that is called blockchain. So when you don't understand blockchaining and the mining process, it can be very dangerous to just up and jump into any type of cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
But is it a great investment? Yes, it's not one to pass up, but it is a dangerous one.
Yeah, remember the retro dollar.
Yeah, oh man.
Yeah, my retro dollar example.
Yes.
So you got this.
Yeah.
It's you're investing in the breaking the change, breaking the dollar up. What all can come when you make change for that retro dollar?
So and understand that, man. And you know, we can go on and on with this, but I want to kind of end this stream here. I think next time we'll have a dynamic. We'll talk about the petrodollar.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the euro. We'll talk about Forex and what it means to trade it and invest in it. Because the petrodollar is what makes the dollar, and why the dollar ain't going nowhere. It may change form.
As long as we have the internal combustible engine, then we good, man.
We gonna stay boss.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, we'll stay boss. So with that being said, Brother D, could you give your contact information and people want to reach out to you?
Yeah, man. Darren at Blerdplanet.com. Blerd is a black nerd, man. It's DARRIN at Blerdplanet.com.
Yes, sir. You can reach me at Consu at Blerdplanet.com. That's right, black nerd forever, man. Consu at Blerdplanet.com. Reach us out there, man. Reach to us. Do our best to facilitate your needs, man.
Change your matrix.
So, and we also have a mentorship program. We're going to start promoting it and letting you guys know about it. Be on the lookout for, the hip hop mentorship program, man. It's going to be a great atmosphere, a great club to be a part of, and we'll be talking about that shortly.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, man, all you guys be safe out there. Amidst this hoopla, stay focused, and we'll talk to y'all soon, man. Peace and power.
Peace.